Hello and welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this lovely Friday evening. My name is Molly Puryear. I'm the Executive Director and CEO of Malashak Dance here in San Diego. And we are thrilled, and I just want to extend my gratitude to Francesca and La Jolla Music Society for providing us this opportunity to engage and learn more in a personal way about the artists that La Jolla Music Society brings in. So thank you for offering that to our community, and I want to welcome you and the incredible Francesca Harper. Thank you so much. Yeah. So everyone, I encourage you to take a moment to read her extensive bio in the program and be so impressed by everything that she's done. But today, I'm going to give you a few brief highlights for context, but we're going to talk a little bit deeper than her bio about the work that we're going to see tonight and about some of the concepts that that work is exploring so that we can have a nice, genuine conversation and share that. Francesca is a dancer and choreographer. She currently serves as the artistic director for Alvin Ailey 2. You are the daughter of a dancer and a dance educator who also worked at the Ailey School. She was named the Scholar of the Arts in the Presidential Scholar Program and performed at the White House before embarking on her professional career. She danced in William Forsythe's Ballet Frankfurt, just a real easy start to your professional career. And she was the ballet consultant for the film Black Swan. She has appeared as a dancer in television, Broadway, and she founded her own nonprofit dance company, the Francesca Harper Project. She was also honored with the Living History Award during Black History Month in 2013. I am honored and just so excited to be able to be here with you tonight. So just a few highlights.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So I want to start with this theme of collaboration. Throughout your career, you have worked in fashion, in film, in Broadway. You've produced and recorded your own music. What is it that draws you to the collaborative side of arts and kind of crossing genres? Is that strategic, or has it organically been part of your
Oh, I
career?
love that. No, I think I started really falling in love with multidisciplinary art and working with William Forsythe. So I started my career as a ballet dancer with the Dance Suite of Harlem. And then I saw the Ballet Frankfurt. I went over to Germany. We were on an 8-month layoff. And I saw William Forsythe's work. And I knew intuitively that I was meant to be there and work with him. And what was so interesting, he was such a trailblazer in terms of, really understanding that the common denominator for the dance work was the human being. And so with that, he really created a space for us, that he saw us as individuals and not just as dancers, that there was a space, and he always kind of supported and heightened each one of us, and we were a very diverse group. And our gifts. So we would have people that were maybe more modern-based dancers, and we had ballet dancers and modern-based dancers, but we were all featured and all really utilized in his company. And he was very courageous. I want to say experimental, but I don't know. I think he did experiment, but he was also had this kind of commercial appeal too, which was a very interesting dichotomy for me as a dancer. To have this, he was just, he was from America and was appointed as director. Had worked with the Stuttgart Ballet, so even his influences were very international, And so we started collaborating and thinking about not only dance but set design, and we started working with architects and film directors on certain pieces. We would work with them and have conversations, and then develop dance vocabulary that would be kind of incorporate the perspective of a filmmaker or someone behind the camera, close-up zooms and different angles. And so it would just, I think the multidisciplinary aspect and investigating that, it's so stimulating to me. It just keeps widening my purview and my perspective, and to learn about different people and different vantage points and different art forms. is just, I feel like I'm constantly expanding. And so that's, I think I got that bug and the taste of that. And ever since I did, I just haven't gone back. Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's a key besides just chemistry when you're working with another artist, or is it just kind of that courage to step into someone else's world and see what happens?
Oh, I love that you said the word courage, because when you asked me, when we were talking a little bit earlier, you were like, if there were one thing you wanted to say, and courage was the word. So I think really for me, this idea of working with courageous artists, I grew up in the dance world, so I grew up seeing Alvin Ailey as, at the height of his career, and seeing these leaders that were really nurturers in a way, but always putting themselves out there, and even sometimes being political with their voices, with their statements, with the artwork. And so that also became intriguing to me and something I wanted to emulate as a young artist, and seeing that courage for Alvin, and also just to provide representation for myself as a young African-American aspiring artist, female artist, really to have those artists kind of courageously putting themselves out on the stage. We always talk about the stage being a social platform for change. And I think that is very much what I continue to do and aspire to do. So I think that courage, definitely with Mark and Wendy, who you will see performing tonight, that is really intrinsic to who they are as artists. I know Wendy has been in contemporary work and spearheading her own projects, and pushing boundaries for many years since she left New York City Ballet. And Mark Bamuthi Joseph is the same. As a spoken word artist, very verbal about how he feels and his lens when it comes to politics and his own experiences as an African-American man. So I definitely lean towards and gravitate towards the courageous artists. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And what a perfect example is tonight's project that we have the privilege of seeing. It's very fresh. And for those of you who are kind of getting a sense of what we're going to see tonight, the spoken word artist, Mark Bamuthi Joseph, and then Wendy Whelan, most of us know that name, are just tremendous artists, with such vision and strong ability to communicate through their work. So when you put these three powerhouses together to create this work, it's not just the artists themselves and their vision, but the content is really interesting and important. So setting, 100-year-old composition of Carnival of the Animals against the backdrop of the insurrection on January 6th is this wonderful woven tapestry that
dense.
Yes, is very dense. So my question is just kind of, were you aware of Mark ahead of time? Like, how did you get involved in this project, and how did you all fall into place, and how was it working together?
Goodness, oh my gosh, okay.
That's a big
no
question.
Pressure.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see. Well, I actually have been working with a woman named Rika Eno, who is Sozo Media, has a company and has been supporting and managing artists for many years. And so I've had a relationship with her for many years, and she works with Mark. And I just love the work that she curates and the work that they do together. And Wendy and I have always wanted to work together. And so I think when the opportunity came about, Wendy suggested me, and Mark and I have been just, between Rika and Mark, it was just a homecoming for me in a lot of ways. I think we're very much like-minded people. I've known of Mark and Wendy. I mean, it's been decades, that we have been in the arts and creating our own works and kind of trailblazing and so I think that it just felt right in that respect. These are people that I really enjoy working, and people that I also want to learn from, kind of on, in terms of, they're intellectually rigorous and curious and hungry and courageous. And so all of those elements, you will get and run to a room. It doesn't matter even. We'll just get in the studio just to work with those people. I mean, it's an honor. So that's how it came about, and it's really been empowering for all of us. And again, just very intellectually stimulating in a lot of ways, and I think also healing for us between the pandemic and between the insurrection and between all that we've experienced, to have a group of people with which we can discuss and talk about our feelings. I mean, that's the beauty of art, is just to be able to talk about our feelings and the loss and the fears and the importance of human relationships and the importance of cherishing moments with each other. These all just kind of emerged and came to the surface through us kind of reconsidering what happened.
Yeah. Art is sort of inherently activism.
That's right.
You can't really separate the two. And so have you felt possibly highlighted over the past few years, but like a difference in the ecosystem? Do you feel like there's more freedom and support for art as activism being in the forefront, put in front of broad audiences, with presenters getting behind it, with funders getting behind it? Do you feel like it's becoming more welcome in spaces in this country?
Oh yes, I think there's been a big change since the pandemic and all that has happened with Eric Garner, and what has happened in terms of the Black movement. That has been really encouraging to see our voices finally being supported and funders supporting the work and being given opportunities. It's definitely that there's been a shift in the paradigm. And so I think a lot of myself and many of my contemporaries have just been seizing these moments to really speak the truth courageously, because I think also people are receptive. It's really a moment that I really have found that a lot of people are receptive. And that's really beautiful to experience and to see. So I think it's a really wonderful, prolific, and encouraging time, because I think there is a common desire for us to understand more deeply each other more deeply.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's been really wonderful to observe the shifts that have happened in the dance world over the last few years. And I feel like we have to give props to our audiences. They are willing and they are able to absorb more challenging and, deep, intense content. And so that fear that how are audiences going to react to, maybe something that they haven't seen before, or a concept that hasn't been explored through dance, publicly, is, we have to thank you for being open and receptive and for showing up.
That's right.
And tell your friends. The performing arts require audiences.
That's right. No, I think that's true. I mean, I will also have to give some props to Wendy Whalen, just as being Associate Artistic Director of the New York City Ballet, which is it's just an amazing company with a great history. But she's also, really doing incredible programming. And I mean, for her, she has definitely commissioned, African American artists to create for the New York City Ballet. And so a lot of our kind of cultural music and choices and experiences are now kind of resonate in these larger halls because of that consideration. So, yeah, I just wanted to give Wendy a shout out too. And you'll see her perform with that empathy tonight. It's really amazing to see, really Mark's poems and Mark's experiences and words. And you can really feel that it's important for Wendy also to be sharing in Mark's experiences and stories and vice versa.
The one of the things that just caught my eye and just seems so interesting is the development of the concepts of the animals, right? Like, and how they're very layered. Um, it's conceptual. It's also an animal that is named. Um, but it's very nuanced and layered. So as a choreographer, tell me how you kind of drew from both of those angles to begin creating, and what was that like in the process?
You know, it's interesting. I've been choreographing for so many years, and it's really taken a long time to figure out like what my process is and what's important for me and how I synthesize all of those thoughts and ideas. So, a lot of my process is very much about being sensitive and giving space for the artist to also make contributions. So, sometimes in this particular instance, there were moments that I would create phrases. I was working with Tim Stickney, who is an amazing my choreographic assistant, who also helped me with like generating some movement for Wendy. But then also it's really important that I be in the studio with Wendy, and that, you know, I would start with the phrase and start with some ideas, and then I could tell, and remaining sensitive to Wendy's intuition and offerings, I would say, "Oh, so what do you think? What do you think would happen next?" Or, you know, or, "Well, what do you think? This gesture isn't working for me, Wendy. What would you do?" And so always creating that kind of space for the artist. And the more space you create for them, the more empowered and the more valued they are and feel. So that just kind of feeds into the work and empowers the work and starts to enrich the work and nourish the work so deeply. So that is one kind of my special sauce, so to speak. Just letting the dancer, because there are some choreographers that are like, okay, I told you right arm, do the right arm, you know, and then just that's it, you know. So I think that for me, also William Forsythe was very much open in that way in giving us voice and autonomy in the work. And so I think also with Wendy, you know, at this point in her life, she's just such a dream and so experienced. It's just, you know, you want to hear what she has to say.
I think it's always so amazing if there's an open rehearsal or if there's any chance that you ever have to see dancers in process. It's so intuitive and so much more collaborative than I think people realize. That it's not come in and I have the steps set and I teach them, and you are the vessel and I am the creator. It is such a conversation and a give and take, where you know, dancers learn and express themselves in such like intimate settings in the studio. It's really a beautiful thing. So I love hearing you talk about how that was, you know, that has been a part of your training and that you create that space for dancers, because it does enrich the work always. You can feel that authenticity.
Well, it's so funny that you mentioned that, because I was talking with Mark last night, and you know, when you see Mark, you see such strength and such power in who he is as an artist. But the more I've been getting to know him, this vulnerability, which you will also hear in his words, I think creating that safe space for people so that they can be all of who they are in the space with you. So to be given, you know, to create that space for Mark and Wendy, and to see not only that they're powerhouses and and their strengths, but also their vulnerabilities and their fears. And I mean, it just kind of opens up this spectrum of emotions and expression in really profound ways. And again, they're so experienced that they're willing to go there for the work and for the content. Mm-hmm.
Um, Tell us about, like, what do you want an audience to feel when they walk away from the show tonight? What do you want to resonate, or do you not have a preference? Like, what is the end impact that you wish for?
The word that comes to mind is understood. I would love people to walk away feeling understood this evening. I think really revisiting the pandemic and revisiting January 6th, there's a real universality to the work. I think, and through Mark's words and Wendy's dancing, that when I watched it the last couple of days, it really feels like it's expressing one of my experience, what I experienced, and I know we all did. So I think that that sense of being seen and understood really is what resonates with me.
I love that. As a you know an individual who has done so many things but is doing so many things simultaneously, it seems. What can you tell us or share with us or impart with us about how you keep yourself full and cared for enough to be able to create and produce and foster creativity in other people, which is giving a lot of yourself? So, either personally for yourself or what you might tell a mentee.
I think I've learned to lean on people a bit more than I used to. I think that realization of we're all in this together, at some point, maybe 10, 15 years ago, I had that epiphany. It's like, oh, I'm not in this alone, which is really just was a wonderful epiphany for me. So I think being able to go into these spaces and just like lean in, and I just don't feel the pressure that I used to when I was younger, when I was trying to prove myself. And now it's just like I walk in and see the beauty in, the smallest moments, or just the process, just having a rehearsal or time with people. It really is wonderful to really be living with that, from acting from that perspective and living with that awareness. So it just doesn't feel, I don't feel depleted anymore through the process. Like for me, I always feel fulfilled. Of course, it's challenging, but I don't feel like I'm draining myself and pouring myself only. I'm pouring aspects of who I am and some ideas, and then I'm receiving them, and and that's illuminating and feeding me and helping us move forward. So it's really, for me, recognizing it's such a team. It's a real collaboration every time. And I feel like my job now as an artistic director and choreographer for the piece is really to support and design and create like connective tissue. So I think it's also really like they're really doing a lot of heavy lifting. The dancers, and I'm like, okay, can I get you some water? And like, it's like, oh, you're okay, and let's try it again from the top. So it really, for me, I mean, dancing for me was just so intense and strenuous. I mean, this for me is it. There's really a gift, and I'm learning so much more about who I am as a human being from having these conversations and having process with others, which as a dancer, I just had to put blinders on and just like worry about myself. And so like I really recognize that it's just such an opportunity as a choreographer and director to have this exchange that is just so invigorating. So I don't really feel so depleted when I do. My husband and my daughter and I go hiking, or we go away for the weekend or something. So I think I've found that may be what you were initially asking. I find ways to balance out the work. Mm-hmm.
No, your answer was much more interesting than.
Oh, was it? Good.
I go hiking. Good. Yeah. I mean, I go hiking too, but I know, that's right. Not what I wanted. Yeah.
No, I think at some point it just felt, it always feels like I just really love it, and it just feeds me deeply, and it feels like it's always a joyful experience, even when it's challenging.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And always, as much as teaching is learning at the same time, right? So I feel like that exchange is, it can be such a wonderful equilibrium if you're in the right space. Yeah.
Yeah. And you recognize it's not about ego in that way. Yes, we want success, but we want to be impactful in an emotional way. So it's really about, moving people and that process. So once you tap into that, it's, it's not as cumbersome.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really interested in sort of the trajectory of this project because we're kind of at the beginning. So, tell us where it's going. What's next?
Oh my goodness. I know I may have to have Rika and Achisa here to give you all of the details. But this is what I love about this performance is it's really this is it. You all are seeing the first iteration of the performance. And we finished today in our run through and it was like an hour. It was perfectly like so it's been 5 years of really us collecting material and making time. Of course, Mark works with the Kennedy Center very closely, and Wendy has New York City Ballet, and I have Alvin Ailey. So it's been trying to figure out, but we've all been so dedicated to the project and the mission of the project that I'm so proud of what we really achieved. I think the last 2 days, we've been really just getting out of the way of the work, and there's been a real fluidity. And we've been finishing on time, and it just feels like I know, but that really is it. Sometimes you don't finish on time. Oh God, we've got to go back and revisit that. But it's really been a kind of that there's a fluidity around it. It really feels like there's kind of divine support, so to say. So I think, yes, this is the first performance. We have we have some more performances coming up, and our world premiere will be next fall. So, you can go online and follow Soza Media, and we'll have our dates, and we're going to the Harris Theater as well, and I'll let you look it up. So you can follow us and join us as we tour around. But it's really an exciting time. I think from here, it was funny. We were talking with some of the artists. Mark was really like, it really feels good. I don't think we need to tweak that much. And I was saying, I kind of feel that way too. It really feels like it feels right. So you all are really I think we all feel really proud of the work, and we hope you enjoy it this evening.
Well, Francesca, thank you so much for this delightful conversation. Thank all of you for being here and for showing up. And I'm just so excited for all of us to share this experience tonight. So one more round of applause for Francesca Harper.